Hello everyone. Uh, this is Fiction. I'm making a guide to Skolldir. I'm doing this because I've played Skolldir for quite some time now, and I've had people compliment me on my Skolldir and ask me, how do I Skolldir correctly? Well, there is a way. It's basically, you're a giant honey badger. You just go in and you make big plays. That's what Skolldir is there for. He's there to make big plays. He's not there to brawl. He's not really good at brawling. I mean, not in a MOBA sense, like he's got some advantages and some disadvantages, but we'll get into those. The main point is you got to make big plays. You got to throw down. That's the point of Skolldir, to throw. So let's get into a random game here and see what happens. And yeah, we'll have fun either way. I'll demonstrate rightfully whether or not I'm even qualified to make a guide. So at least hopefully, if we can join a game session. Here we go. So real quick, let's just look at the upgrades I roll out with. Throw is one of those abilities, especially with boots. You can pretty much get the heck out of dodge right after you do it, and it's really punishing. So you want to take the upgrades on throw that will allow it to be valuable regardless of what happens afterward, because half the time what happens afterward is you getting the heck out of dodge. At least if you're playing against people who are equally punishing. So these two, the two damage upgrades, in my opinion, are pretty much mandatory. The third one is really up to you. Slow throw is great. So is knockback in the right hands, if you know how to use it correctly. And I mean, there are some people who say this kind of betrays you in the late game because it throws them further away. But you know, with the right application, you can still make great things happen with it. I'm going to go with crank and dumbbells, just because a second throw really does make a really big difference. 6-second cooldown is really not something throw should have, but it's really funny when it does. Snare, snare. I'm just going to call it snare because that's what it is. Quake, rather, is a great skill. It's actually, even though people think of throw as your initiating skill with Skulldier, you're going to use Quake to enable throws. And hopefully, depending on what map we get, you'll be able to see that. I'm running out of time here, so I'm just gonna get right out of the road. I'll talk about my utility here. This is tree banking, which is not really recommended in high-level play right now, but I'm gonna do it right now anyway because I'm a total boss and I can get away with it. At least hopefully. We'll see. Tree banking, just to talk a little more about it. I feel like in higher-level play, you can get away with not tree banking because people are more familiar with the MOBA genre. They defend towers more. They draw out the game more, so you're more likely to get to that late game when you have the solar to not only get your utility but your other upgrades as well. Depending on what league you're in, and just generally how the flow of the game is going, tree banking can actually be better than pills and regen, but it's not likely the higher skill level people you're playing, basically. I'm doing it now just because I just want to stomp, and to me every game should be a stomp, of course. Why not? I'm playing Skulldier. He's there for big plays. Big plays. I don't need to sustain. I don't need to stay on the lane. I don't need to kill droids. I'm here to throw down. And I'm being only partially I'm only partially getting there, I guess you might say. So it looks like we will be in a game shortly. Huzzah! So here we are, probably Skoldir's worst map, but let's see what we can do with it anyway. I say it's his worst map because there's really not a lot of places to surprise people with throw in a really bullshit way like there are on some other maps. So I might make another video on another map. But let's just see how this game goes. Maybe this will just be a video that I upload to give people a general idea about what to do with this guy, even when he's on his worst map. Looks like a pretty fun game so far. There's one. So that was one thing that Skolldir can do on this map. I'll do it again here just to demonstrate. You wait down here, you watch the minimap, and then you vault up, you bounce down, and you throw. And sometimes it goes better than others, but hey, sometimes there's a clunk right beside you. And sometimes you fall into a black hole. It doesn't matter, but hey. Hey, there's a Raylan. And that's another success. So Skolldir is also really good at just baiting the enemy. Notice the clunk was really low. The Raylan got greedy. Thought she could kill him. Skolldir is there to say no. He's there to bodyguard his allies, is another great function. It's got a really high threat zone, so take advantage of it. Yep, just walk forward. There comes the Black Holt, but he didn't have much charges on it, which I didn't think so. When you're on this map, you want to always be sort of bouncing around mid. Things aren't going well, you can always leave and walk right back into a snipe, as I nearly did, and missed the throw. So, of course, I'm going to be uploading this game regardless of what absolutely horrible mistakes I make. So I better just get used to that now. Here's a good function. Raylan should not be able to snipe when you are present. You are one of her biggest counters, along with Leon, if you exert your lane presence correctly. And threw him right into the health pack. That was good. Ow. Well, nearly died there, but headed into that health pack. Things could have gone differently, man. Let's buy some upgrades. So what I just bought there was Stun Punch. This is a good general upgrade to grab at any time. There's generally two choices you can take with Skulldir. You can either just rush your burst damage as fast as possible, or you can rush your auto attack, which should primarily consist of utility upgrades. And I missed that surprise throw there, but it always surprises me when Raylans just feel comfortable sniping. What was I talking about? Talking about what two roads you can take. Yeah, I feel like the better your allies are doing, basically, the more threatening you feel that they're being, the more effective you are as a team. You're going to want to go for those supporting upgrades like stun and just additional range, which is still absolutely worth taking even after the nerfs. And of course heal punch, which is a great upgrade, allows you to stay on the lane, and a lot of times it does just allow you to skip out on regen completely. If things aren't going well, it means that you're going to need to rely more on power plays. Those power plays that I mentioned, where you just throw the enemy in for major damage and hope that you can gain enough of a solar advantage to catch up. And otherwise you just leave the lane, because if the enemy team happens to be dominating, then there's not much you can do by staying on the lane other than feed. So and that's a dead Raylan. Skulldir is not actually a better brawler than Raylan, so doing something like that is a little risky. If someone had actually come down to help her at that time, I could have been a little screwed, but felt pretty comfortable because we've got good control of the lane, luckily. I think someone actually left. So that tends to happen in most games, but hey, why not? And of course, when Raylan's sniping, you always want to give her the choice between sniping the droids and sniping you. Not like that. So let's look a little bit more. I think I already grabbed the range because that's the route I'm going this game. I just decided my team's doing pretty well. I don't need the extra burst, so I'm just going to delay it until after punch is mostly upgraded. Almost got her. Skulldier actually punches a good way through the turret if you're hugging it. Didn't quite get her that time, but almost got her. I guess close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, as my old math teacher used to say. There comes the black hole. We're just going to back up. Always watch sentries charges if you see him charging. There we go. Took a little while, but we got him. And Swiggins missed me, thank God. So did Ray, thank God. And I'm going to body block. I'm going to help Clunk here a little bit. Get back there, Swiggins. Now come here. Trying to escape. Gets himself killed. I've got 348 solar now, so let's go back to the shop and see what else there is to talk about. Snare, I'm going to mention something about Snare. Again, this isn't the best map to illustrate exactly what all you can do with Skulldir, so I'll probably do another video. I see a lot of Skulldirs take Snare early, and I do think that is a mistake most of the time. The reason is you can't really apply it as often as you can your basic stun punch. Double throw. Nope, just a single. That's okay. You can't really apply it as often as stun punch in the early game. And whether or not the enemy gets snared is, until you get the height upgrade anyway, it's kind of up to them. And you don't want to leave the effectiveness of any of your upgrades up to the enemy, if you can help it. Raylan will feed me this health here, which I'm fine with. Oh. Let's go back and grab Snare. Actually, just more heal punch. And yeah, more burst. Really, Snare, I usually save Snare until the end. If you're up against a really, really slippery froggy, or in particular a penny, it can be advantageous to grab Snare and height really, really early. I should emphasize how much these two upgrades really need one another to be played at their maximum effectiveness. Earthquake is kind of a crappy ability. Like, just thinking about it in terms of its actual AoE, it's almost more useful for the fact that it makes you descend almost instantly than it is for the damage. It hugs the ground. Some characters can just completely avoid it. It's not the reason you play Skulldir. It's not the reason anyone plays Skulldir, I don't think, or it shouldn't be. But excuse me while I go completely quiet while this fight happens. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, apparently. But what was I talking about? Snare? Yeah, it's or Quake in general. Yeah, let me just illustrate this real quick, what I was talking about. You descend almost instantly. It's just it's almost a vertical. It's a vertical teleport, basically. So you want to take advantage of that to catch people off guard, especially on maps other than this one, because this is one of the least conducive maps to abusing that. But even on this map, you can do stuff like this, where if they're sitting in front of this turret here, you can just sort of surprise them. not really, not by much, but so Braylon wasn't respecting my space. It's very important to respect Skolldir's space. And there's a quitter. But I think anyone who's played this game for any sufficient length of time knows that's nothing particularly new. So, game should basically be over at this point, but hopefully that's demonstrated a little bit about how to competently play Skulldir, even on his worst map. Bots, of course, you can just do whatever, even though they are really jukey. And apparently I can't aim a fist. So just give her the choice between hitting the droids and hitting the lane. And then when more droids come, just heal. Especially from the ones that she gives you. Love it when Raylins take that upgrade. Woo! Full health. Dead Raylin. He can't really contest me. So he's just wisely leaving. At this point, wow, nobody on my team has died. This has been a good game. Probably not a very, not a good one from a teaching perspective, but what can you do? So just pop up when they least expect it, and that's kind of how you have to play in general when you're just kind of brawling. You know, it's all about the third punch, especially once you get stunned. I probably could have pulled her out of that, so let's do so. After the fact, she might live from that health there, but whatever. And Raylin finishes him off before he gets the health. That's how to play Raylin correctly. And that's the GG. So, that's just a sample game with Skolldir. Kind of how to... I guess that was a little bit of everything. Best skull ever. Could I have asked for a better game to just jump into here? No, I know. What the actual hell? Alright, yeah, I'll take that. And on that happy note, I'll leave this game, and maybe I'll make another guide on another map, because even more shenanigans await on other maps.